Loved our win today, but we see J-Ling's version 2.0 leave the club for free and brought J-Ling's 2.0 for 75 million and gave him the number 25. Look, for me, I've defended Anthony a lot this year. There are things about him I know that need to change.
Sancho, you talking about?
Oh, Sancho. Sorry, I thought he was talking about
25.
21.
Yeah, but this is a bad thing. This is a bad thing. I'm not even sure of all our players' numbers. I don't look at the shirts. I don't go on the website. I don't know.
Same.
But for me, like with Sancho, I said it before, he's a cream puff. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, you want Sancho?" I would say amicably to him. Say, listen, I think you've got great skill, but why? I'd love to ask him, why are you so scared of defenders? He just fronts them up and then passes backwards. He doesn't have whether it's, and I think the fear is because he doesn't have the explosive speed. The Bundesliga is slower, and I think over there he was a quicker, like pound for pound was quicker. Here, he ain't got the speed. He didn't try and beat anybody. That's why when Garnacho comes on, he knocks it past and he run past somebody. Sancho is just not a Premier League football player. And I saw him in the Bundesliga. I thought, he can translate. He's come here. He hasn't got the explosive speed. He just doesn't have the power. He's too, I don't know what the word for it. He's small. He's not athletic at all.
Wait, hold on. Let me say something. Can I say something? Let me say something. Yeah. What is this notion that he had a bad game today? Because I've heard it way too many times. I let it go the first few times. He didn't have a bad game today. What are you guys talking about? Hold on. This guy, no, hold on. Because Garnacho came on and took a man on and did nothing, absolutely nothing with it. He crossed it right away and it got blocked by the.
Suck your mom. Yeah, I said it, suck your mom.
There's no way. No way you can get a good game.
Can I talk?
United Civil War. We need more of this.
Can I talk now? Because Garnacho came on and took on one defender, crossed it, got blocked by the first man, and it went to a corner, I think, something like that. Everyone lost their minds. Sancho did nothing wrong today. We had 63% possession of the in the first half. We finished the game with 59% possession. It means you kept the ball well as a team the whole game. Okay, this guy has made no mistakes today. Yes, I understand you want to see something a little bit more where he crosses someone, takes a shot. I get all that, but we also criticize. Hold on, we also criticize Rashford for doing that too much because when Rashford gets the ball, he doesn't like to pass back. Just let me finish. Let me finish, and then you can go. Rashford does the same thing. He gets criticized so much for taking on too many players, and they're like, "Oh, he always dribbles into these dark alleys where he doesn't get the ball. Like he tries to dribble, loses the ball, and all that." Then you get a guy who keeps the ball well. You're recycling the ball all game, and you're creating enough chances. And if we had a better striker, we would have scored a few more goals today. And you're picking out him. I don't understand why no one picked on Bruno today, the guy who was giving up the ball so much for no reason. He's so impatient with the ball.
Okay, so firstly on this, Bruno has been called out by Cam on the show by saying he had an awful game today.
It's only because I was in the chat going about it. He was like, he's not going to get subbed. I was going crazy on it.
What you said about Sancho is this: the people that have a go at Rashford for trying to score goals and win us games are only doing that to defend the Martials and Sanchos that don't do anything to win us games. It's not about actually hating on Rashford. It's used as a technique to defend their own player. It's about balance. So listen, sometimes Rashford and Bruno make the wrong decisions and it annoys me. But I'd much rather somebody make the wrong decision trying to win us games than go,
he was winning, Terry. You don't need to take risks.
No, you do. You do.
What?
When your job is a winger and a creator, your job is to attack your fullback and try and win and score more goals. We can't be 1-0 up and go, do you know what? For the rest of the game, I'm not going to try and take a man on. I'm just going to pass it back to keep possession from the 9th minute of the game. Come on, Stafford.
No, that's also not what I said. That's not what I said. But when you have a teammate next to you that every time he gets the ball, hold on, because Bruno, every time he got the ball, he made the wrong decision. So if I'm his teammate and I'm looking at him, all right, every time we keep the ball, we already have one person who every time he gets the ball, he wants to shoot. That's the one thing he always does. I think Bruno's the player the most in this team that every time he gets the ball, he's thinking of how he can get an assist or a goal right away from stupid position. Yeah, it works sometimes. But on a day like today where he's losing the ball too much, taking stupid shots, all of them are off target. Why am I supposed to add to that? Because we're already cruising in that game. Yes, we want to score one more.
Can I ask you a question? So can I ask you a question, Staffy? So would you rather a player try to score us more goals and create more, or at no point tries it?
It depends on what position you are in the game, Terry.
No.
I get what you're saying.
No. I'm talking generalistically. Do you want a player that is trying to score us goals and win us and guarantee more points? Or
Terry,
a player
there's no right or wrong
No,
answer to what
there
you're
is a right
asking.
or wrong answer.
No, there
is
is.
a right
There
or wrong
is.
answer. There is.
Nah, there is.
Come on.
There is. There's definitely a right and wrong answer. No,
You know
there
what,
is.
yeah,
There is.
I wanna-
No. I
Yeah,
need
I'm
an
gonna-
island.
hey,
I need an
like-
island with Staffy. No, sir. This is my
Yeah.
turn right now.
Go
He
ahead,
is
bro.
talking absolute was, bro. Here is the problem. Bruno has been one of our biggest producers in terms of goals and assists and winning games for at least 2.5 years now.
I'm talking about today, bro. Don't talk about other games.
Let me finish.
Talk about today.
then.
Talk about today, then.
Okay, you said let you finish. Let me finish. Now, Rashford has been our key producer all season. So, if you have a game like today where Bruno is wasteful and he's making the wrong decisions, you can say he's had a bad game. But when you have a Sancho who's been here for 2 years, who's done absolutely nothing, and every time he plays, he's making runs and passing sideways and passing backwards, it is a reasonable thing to say that he does not look like he's on it. He doesn't look like he wants it, and he looks like he's making the wrong decision. Or less, maybe he's passive. Maybe he's not making the wrong decision. He's just not making a decision. Not having a good game is not the same as having a great game.
Maybe
No,
Sancho should
no,
also be
it's
proactive as well,
semantics.
because if Bruno's having such a bad game, where he's wasting all these passes, maybe it should be on Jadon Sancho, who came in as a creator, to start actually creating and stop passing the ball to Bruno Fernandes to give it away. Maybe he should take a little bit of impetus
Responsibility.
rather than just passing
Responsibility.
sideways and letting it go to Bruno so he can get all the criticism. Bruno Fernandes is always going to do that because guess what? The best attackers are going to give away the ball because they're trying to make stuff. I have less respect for an attacker who tries to keep it safe and tries to not be the one who has the nasty headline on, oh, he gave the ball away too much. Have a bit of confidence about it. You cost 75 million.
I need to
No,
say
actually,
something
no.
quick, though.
I agree with Staffy. Wait before I agree with the part where he didn't have a bad game. He's doing semantics here. Sancho didn't have a bad game. He just had a game, but that's the issue. We need
Fact.
more from players.
So
we can't just have just a game right now. There need to be more. And
So-
my main thing with Sancho is I think he actually can work for Man United. He's just on the wrong side.
Agreed.
Because he has not got the explosive speed. He always tries to check back onto his onto his right foot, and he can't do it in time, and the defender can keep up. The one time he was on the right-hand side and drove and did a 1-2, he made something happen because he's confident that his right foot is on the right side. I think that's his main issue. Put him on the right, and if it clearly doesn't work there, then he needs to go. But that's
I
just me.
disagree with a few things straight up. Like when it comes to say, like I actually do think he had a bad game because I do like what Terry says and what we always say is we want our wingers to be proactive and to attack and to be dangerous. At no point today, other than maybe one play, did I feel that Jadon Sancho was dangerous, and the other team feels that too, right? When Garnacho comes on and you're saying, oh, he just did the one run by, it was not just the one, but that one take on was so glaringly obvious for everybody that it showed the deficiencies in Sancho. And that's what you have to look at, because when Garnacho comes on, he's immediately a threat. And it was in multiple situations. Even when Weghorst had that cutback and Garnacho was just out of position, like Sancho would have been nowhere near that. And this is the problem I have with him right now. And it's like Terry says, cream puff, and he's like, I wouldn't say it to his face. Listen, I would tell that kid he's soft to his face. I wouldn't care, because at the end of the day, he needs to get in the gym. He needs to find out what Rashford did in that offseason, because when you look at him and you look at the rest of the wingers in the Premier League, the ones that are the most successful, they're the ones who can beat their man, hold their man off. Every time Sancho goes by a man, what happens? They touch him and he goes down. Same with Martial now. We have two guys like that now. Listen, I want Sancho to be I want him to be good. I want so much from him. But until he's able to play at the pace of the Premier League and beat mans and keep them off, he's not going to be, because he can't do those tricks and tick. All that technicality we talk about that he has, he cannot do that in the Prem until he gets some power. Plain and simple. Listen, I'm a track runner and I could never beat dudes when I was younger until I got bigger and stronger. That's what he's got to do. He's got to.
So what was Sancho doing in the mountains? What was the trip to the mountains?
That was a mental thing, not physical.
Yeah, I have no idea.
fair.
There's a comment here from Kay that says you're supposed to recycle the ball and wait for openings, not run blindly into defenders and lose possession. And again, these things are right within reason. But if at no point in a game, just take it away from United, if at no point in a game does Jack Grealish or KDB or Mahrez or Foden attempt to beat a man, attempt a through ball through the eye of a needle to break a line, you never score goals. You have to take risks. You have to take risks. That's why KDB and Trent, the two most productive creators in the Premier League in the last 5 years give the ball away more than anybody else in the Premier League because they are consistently trying to break lines and find their attackers. If they say, do you know what? I'm going to get my loss of possession down to 5 per game to satisfy Baller FC, No Knowledge FC. About to say something offensive then. I decided not to. About Andrew Tate posters and all of that, but I'll leave it out the way. If they decided to do that, they stop creating. They've stopped creating. You need to take risks. And that's my issue with Sancho. Yes, there are times where he might have 3 men around him. He passes back. I agree. But there are times where he's one-on-one and he doesn't go at his man. It's about balance. Of course, Rashford should be criticized when he runs into a blind alley. But at the same time, Rashford keeps going at his fullback, whether it's 1 guy, 2 guy, 3. At least he's trying to do something. I want someone to take responsibility and take risks. And then I want there to be balance. There shouldn't be any whataboutism. I know Sancho doesn't try and do anything, but what about when Rashford tries too hard to win us games? I've never been too angry at somebody trying too hard to win us games. The other way, I ain't got time for that. But I've got some more super chats to do here.